How you doing tonight, Micah?
I'm good, man. I'm here. It's good to see you again.
You over there looking like nigga Omi Campbell and your
You over there
your
looking like a
finery.
snack yourself.
Oh, really? Okay. Hope I get ate up tonight.
Hey.
Well, tonight on Deviant TV, we're talking about thriving. And more than appearances, more than just the outward, we're talking about black gay entrepreneurship, just black gay people doing good. How do you feel about that? What's your definition of thriving?
My definition of thriving, it would really have to tap into a richness of some places starts from love, and I'm gonna say self, right? If you're thriving, I don't define that in just financial or monetary gain. It's got to come from something deeper within, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen plenty of people with a lot of money still be very unhappy, and the same goes for popularity. Who cares about those things? How about you? How do you define thriving?
I agree with what you're saying. I do feel that you can have money and be very unhappy, but to learn that just LGBT people worldwide spend upwards of $3 trillion a year, and just on that's a spending power, and within that, Black queer people spend billions, if not trillions, on going out, eating, houses, all this stuff that we thought we never had access to. When you put it in a dollar amount, it gives you a power. And as entrepreneurs, I know when I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur too. You need money to come into your business.
Yeah.
And thriving looks like Black queer voices to the forefront.
Yeah.
And we never think about who are the trailblazers in this and how long Black queer people have been thriving, because we never get really written into history. We get written out of it often. But with a dollar amount assigned to it, it makes things much different.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely look at the idea of thriving that you just described as, Black queer folks tapping into authenticity that empowers others, right? And what that does for the rest of the world. And so I think about even, content creators online and what they're doing in making space for people to exist. I look at folks who create products that feed directly to us as a community, and what that does for our self-consciousness and our self-worth. And yeah, I do think that there is so much to be said about, yes, the money that is made, but also the impact that it can have.
Yeah. And the impact is not only on the consumed end. When you have Black queer entrepreneurs or Black queer owners, they can empower other people. We've talked to Lambda, and they have a physical space where they can hire trans folks where they may not traditionally be hired. If you have a Black queer landlord, you can move into there and someone will know your, not lifestyle, but your life. If they see niggas running up at your house at 3 a.m.,
Yeah.
they're not going to bat an eye at it. And that just creates a bigger world, a world for us to be more seen, and a world where we don't have to ask anybody for anything, which feels good. Like it creates some normalcy, and it creates some power that's often stripped from us.
Yeah. I think as I hear you talk, I keep getting where I'm arriving at this notion of power instead of permission, right? Asking permission, and I think that's what I'm gaining, is that thriving is maybe defined by someone who's not asking permission, but rather is taking up space, and as they do so, they are also making way and opening doors for communities of people.
Yeah, when I left the last gay agenda meeting, we talked about that. After we get rid of the white straight man, we're gonna go straight to just the presidency.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is that the gay agenda?
Yeah, that is it. Like, they almost kicked me out, but
It's interesting though how you brought up, what Black queer ownership has done particularly, or can do, right, for trans women or our many homeless youth, for trans women that are, typically and historically barred via job discrimination, and our trans youth that are meeting housing discrimination, or just meeting poverty while they're abandoned or disowned from their homes. I think the idea of thriving, once again, can really help us to reimagine our futures.
yeah. And if you took Black gay people, or even any kind of color queer person, out of the equation, life would be a lot less polished. Not even just like stylists and hairdressers, even though we know that some of the most iconic fashion moments have come from these little known stylists and little known editors. Some of these hairstyles that super mega pop stars wear started with these queer people. If you took us out of the equation, what would you have? We wouldn't have a lot of gay rights. We wouldn't have a lot of, even like, I hate to go back to fashion and style, but we wouldn't have a lot of aesthetic things. We wouldn't have a lot of policy.
Yeah.
There are things that we just would not have, or would come later, or would come from a different spot, and less of a spot of, sometimes when Black queer people do things, it's out of not struggle, but out of necessity. And when you feel a need, when you when you fix a problem, you have a business there. Welcome back, Deviants. Here we are for another riveting conversation about being Black and queer. This one is one I'm especially excited about because these are people I know and love. We're talking about thriving in the Black queer community, and we have Charles and Richard, owners of Lambda Lounge, and so much more. They do so much more. So I'm going to let you introduce yourselves.
All right. You want to go first?
You always introduce first.
All right. How y'all doing? My name is Charles Hughes. I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia. I stand at 5'7", and I'm an Aries.
I'm Richard Solomon. I'm from New York. I'm a BX born man. I like long walks in the park.
And we're the owners of Lambda Lounge and Lambda Vodka.
Now we need to talk about that vodka because it's not only the strongest vodka I've had, and as a drinker, it's the strongest liquor I have had.
Awesome.
I don't know this, and I know it's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, y'all out here fucking people up, and they don't even know it.
That was the job, man.
But that's the thing I love about Lambda, because it's a space that was designed with intention. I know talking to you in the beginning stages, you made it known that this is for Black queer people
Absolutely.
every day of the week.
Absolutely.
And that is something that was new to Harlem.
Absolutely.
I know they like to say y'all not the first Black queer bar in Harlem, but to me, yes, because it had the intention and it was designed with us in mind, like everything, the interior, the activities, the games even, and the drinks.
Absolutely.
How does was it a scary process? Because a lot of the times when we tell people we want to do something intently for Black people and intently for queer people, they say it's never going to thrive.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, to take it back initially when we first started, there was question on whether to have it for our people 100% or not. And Ricky and I, we sat down and talked and said, we don't have this space. We've never really had a space like this that has been owned by our people and for our people within New York City. So we really made the decision to make this 100% LGBTQ plus urban community owned. So.
It's scared. It's
scared.
scared.
It's
Can I say
scared.
shit?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to say.
You know, not just because of the whole dynamic behind dealing with a brick and mortar, but now you're dealing with a brick and mortar that is for the LGBTQ plus community, and we all know our community. You can't half-step anything.
No.
You know, everything, you got to come correct. You got to present them with all the bells and the whistles. So I remember we were talking to a friend of ours when we were in the space, and he was like, you know what? This space is dope. You just throw some chairs,
man.
and some benches, and get them some alcohol, and they'll be fine.
These girls will let us have it, bro.
Like, you know who our demographic is.
These girls will let us have it.
Crucify us. We will never hear the end of it. And it was that was such a defining moment for us, because it really it gave us the opportunity to define the need for something more than what they expect us to have. The expectation is that, you know, you don't need or you don't deserve to have
Something of quality.
something of quality.
And also, to add on to that, we're setting the standard going forward. So now, whoever does this after us, you can't half-step on what you're going to do with our community. Because now we know that our community likes nice things.
Absolutely. And I mean, listen, we were in there changing everything. We had a shelf on the wall that was wood. We looked at it, it was like, nah, that ain't gonna work. They're gonna talk about us. So what we did, we tore it down and put an LED one up. You know, those little details that just defines what Lambda is and what the Lambda brand is. It's just that elevated experience that they don't feel we deserve to have.
Yeah, and it gives, I hate to compare Harlem to downtown, but it just gives a quality experience. And along with this space looking beautiful, beautifully lit, great sound, you have a staff that makes people feel like family. And I know you guys being owners, you know what that does for the community. You don't get to see non-binary people in just regular restaurant settings. They have a hard time getting those jobs, or just people who are queer. And you not only hire those people, you give those people night and you highlight them. And along with being Black queer business owners, you allow space for non-binary, other queer people to have jobs. Like I know whenever I go to Lambda, it feels like family. Like there's never a question. The people don't even feel like they're working hard, but it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like this person doesn't want to be here. How does it feel to create those opportunities?
It's a surreal experience for me, you know, to go into a space that you created and seeing people from the community like yourself build a relationship with other individuals multiple times a week. You know, we're starting to build professional relationships within there. And then also how you touched on the staff as well. You know, I think of one employee in particular, our bar back. You know, he walks through the bar, he has all his trash, but then he stops to twerk in the middle of the bar. But this, you know, it's just like, you know, you sit back and you're like, wow, I created a space that these guys can work, make money, but also enjoy their life and feel comfortable, you know, so.
I think the dope part is the fact that it was unintentional.
Yeah.
It isn't as if we went out and we reached for these people. You know, they saw space, and this really speaks to it being a safe space. They saw this safe space, and they immediately felt that it was a place they wanted to work at. You know, and all of a sudden we have our staff, and it's like, oh shit.
I mean, you know, you think about the amount of resumes we were getting, it was almost, it almost equated to the amount of people who wanted to come through and drink. You know, it was just like,
Yeah, we had a lot of people coming through that wanted to work
just wanted to work.
And the fact that the quality people that we found were people of all types, non-binary, you know.
Yeah.
transgenders, like we,
Transgenders,
And that's because like the statistics are like trans and non-binary people have a hard time finding jobs. And now this is a black queer-owned space creating those opportunities that we can have fun together. Because I know when I go like out to a regular restaurant, you never see the staff as a part of the experience.
So one guy came in from Africa, and he had the hostess pull me to the front to speak to him. And you know, normally when you get pulled to the front, it's always some drama. But this guy, you know, he just wanted to pull me outside and, you know, say thank you. He said, you know, out of the people he wanted to meet the most in life was Barack Obama and us.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it was just like, you know, what? Like, and I mean, it almost brought tears to my eyes for somebody to come from Africa to another country to hear about my little old lounge and say that they want
For that freedom y'all created, though.
So I mean, that one moment sticks out to me.
And you know, I love my skybox. I always sit in that front section. I just look over everything, and people think that I'm up there because I want to be seen. But it's that overwhelming feeling of seeing something that you created and everyone in the space actually enjoying it. You know, and I was literally standing there, just embedded in the moment. And I had some guy he was standing outside of the section. And he was looking up at me, and he came over to me. He was like, "You're stuck, aren't you?" I was like, "Oh shit." Somebody caught me. And he was like, "You're really like trying to take all this in," and it literally, I'm such
That's
a
beautiful.
I'm such a baby.
That's beautiful. Let it go. Let it rip.
Yeah, it was like,
Because I mean, if you think about every implant or anybody that has moved to New York, most of us move for big dreams and aspirations. And for those dreams and aspirations to actually come through.
Yeah, especially being black and queer, because you quickly learn when you're in New York, nightlife ain't what you thought it was gonna be.
Absolutely.
And y'all
Especially
are
for us.
because you gotta search and dig for black queer nightlife. And then when you find a space of quality, you never let that space go. So before we leave this conversation, what's the future for Lambda and how can people reach you?
You want to go with the future? I don't know.
I know y'all got a future. I don't know if you ready to spill tea, but I know y'all got one.
And it's crazy that I have to say it this way. The future for Lambda in New York. I have to actually say it that way. In New York, I'm a man of a certain age.
I think we all is at this point.
I was back in the time when you had safe spaces for queer people of color. You know, when you would walk down Chrysler Street and you had a choice, you know, where every day of the week you actually had a choice. That's what Lambda is looking to bring back to New York. Unfortunately, it won't be downtown. I don't think
That's not unfortunate.
You know what?
That's not unfortunate.
You know, they don't vibe with us down there, but I think Uptown is becoming the new gay mecca.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely.
Almost like a renaissance.
Absolutely.
I mean, it should be. And that's
absolutely.
interesting you said. I never knew that. I was in New York where you didn't have an option. You just had a night. It was XL or something, but it was amazing to hear that.
You had Chi-Chi's, you had Two Potatoes, you had, you know, it was literally a strip for nothing but queer people of color to go and hang out and commune and just and have a good time and feel comfortable. And the first thing we thought of when the idea of Lambda Lounge came up was we met at Chi Chi's.
Oh, wow.
You know, that's where we met. That's the first place we hung out at, and we don't have anything like that anymore, and it's sad. And it's sad in the fact that they feel that it is okay to replace that with a straight establishment that may allow you to have a gay night every once in a while. I mean, that's just unacceptable. You know?
But speaking to that, the future, we plan on opening a location in Brooklyn, New York. So it's just like
It's out there now.
it's out there.
out there now.
It's out there.
Oh,
you
it's
know,
a headache.
our home location is about 1,400 square feet, but Brooklyn is going to be 5,000 square feet.
That's amazing.
It's going to be a massive club. It's going to be specifically for our community. We plan on having special events. If you're an organization, you can come through and have your event there. And at the same time, turn up and club.
All right, y'all gonna let Trappy do
You
BK.
you're the first person I always
Okay,
go
we
to.
gonna fuck it up. So how can we reach you? How can someone who doesn't have contact to the physical space support?
Jump in
Social media.
Social media,
is,
baby. IG. Our IG is
Lambda Lounge NY. That's for Instagram and Facebook. If you want to email info@lambdaloungeny.com.
You know, I've heard you mention the idea of what pop stars and politicians alike, as well as the social media influencer, do for other Black queer folks and brown queer folks who have not seen themselves represented in these ways. And even as you talk, I think about all the Black and brown queer folks who are propping up the rest of the culture, right? Whether they're doing hair or makeup, whether they're making spaces, whether they are content creators online. And I think it is time, or a good time rather, to shout out some that we know of, right?
yeah.
Love, Kellen Derrick, who's responsible for some of the iconic women in rap right now. Sean Bankhead, who's responsible for
we got that new
choreography.
FKA video. That's crazy.
Yeah. The Tokyo Styles, who are also doing hair, and the Japanese faces. Simone Tishi is also doing, beating the faces of the Kardashians,
And then we also have the policy end of the Mondaire Jones, who are the first out gay Black.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to fact check this, but people who are on Senate and stuff like that, or House of Representatives and stuff like that, we have a lot of D-Ray.
Yeah.
And we see these people, especially living in Harlem.
Yeah.
Harlem is so beautiful to me because you're never more than 5 blocks away from some historic Black shit.
Yeah.
Like Niggerati Manor. I live.
Yeah.
It's a thing though.
Yeah. It's part of
Even
the-
Langston Hughes' house. I'm in that circle, and I feel like there's a ghost that brings people back to this ground zero of Black gay history.
Yeah.
People have history that's passed down, especially familial history you learn in school. You have to be grown until you learn Black gay history. And the ghosts that brings people back to, especially Harlem, are those ghosts of those Baldwins and those Langston Hughes. You can go to the Schomburg and you can go dance on top of ashes of our ancestors.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing. And that also leads me to what's going on today. I'm so thankful that, when you found me, I was nothing but a hoe on the street. I was nothing but to come into this family of Black queer men, and you empowered me and you gave me a voice. Because, usually Trappy is behind the camera.
Yeah.
And even in these few days that we've been here, I feel so much more empowered. And that's the power of, and it didn't seem like anything to you, but it means a great deal to me. And that is the power of making people feel special, And thank you for that. I didn't have that before. I can't think of a time in my life where I've had that. I know it's all fun and games and jokes, but to empower voices and to do it in a friendly way is beautiful and healing. Welcome back, Deviants. Today we are talking about thriving within the Black queer community. We're here with the man, the muse, the magician, Victor Jackson, who is a choreographer. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna let you jump in, but I'm gonna keep going too. Who is not only a choreographer, but singer, songwriter, and I like to throw activist in there because anything Black people do outwardly is activism to me.
Yes.
And you fill in the gaps.
I think those are really good.
I
think that's a good launching pad.
All right, so I want to start with, you have a sparkle, Victor. You have a sparkle, and it's something that's just natural that you can maintain, because I've been following you for some time, and it has never Like, even though the things you do are increasing, the sparkle maintains the same. And I can hear it in your music. He belongs to the streets.
To the city.
To the city. He
And to the
belongs to the
streets,
and to the
child.
streets.
He belongs to all
See,
of
in the
them.
song, because you are an Atlanta native, so I'm
Yes.
like, okay, I'm going into the song thinking it's about you. You belong to the city, but it's not about that. You have to get into it, and it's so amazing to have songs by Black queer artists that cover our experiences that we can sing. That doesn't feel like, we got the Frank Oceans and we got this and that, but they're not singing to Black gay boys like you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
How does that feel to create those moments?
It feels beautiful because when I was first doing it, my first single had no pronouns in it. It was just, talking about the idea of missing love. My second single had no pronouns in it. And it was just talking about the idea of like a layover, somebody who you lay over with and then
Let them lay over you.
yeah, then let them lay over
Lay
you,
up with.
but they're not your final destination,
Okay.
But with He Belongs to the City specifically, I was like, I want to tell my story on my terms. And so that's actually a really bad experience. Somebody was supposed to
tell.
surprise me at my 21st birthday. They didn't show up. And just like a part of my therapy, He Belongs to the City was my moment to rewrite my past. And so like at the end of the song, like he shows up, we dance, like a whole little thing in the video and everything. But no, I think it's important for us to have the things that we need. And one thing that we need, especially as Black people, is music. Music, whether it's a family reunion and we're listening to Frankie Beverly and Maze, whether it's, cleaning up the house and you listen to some gospel or whatever, like we need music to listen to as Black queer men when we're in love.
Yeah. And that centers
when
us.
we laid up with somebody. And it does center us and it validates our experience.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do.
Because so many times when you find yourself singing along with the songs, you're like, I can feel this experience, but I know this is not for me.
Yeah.
I gotta change he to she or whatever. But this is like just a straight concept of like, I get it. Oftentimes when we think about artists, especially independent artists, are you independent?
I am independent, which is interesting. I'm glad you asked that because a lot of people don't think that I am because of like the level of things and like the rate at which I'm putting things out. But it is exhausting.
I can imagine.
It is exhausting, but yes, I am independent and it's me. I'm my own manager, my own choreographer, my own stylist. Like I have an amazing tribe of people who help me out and who are there for me. But yeah, I'm an independent artist.
So when we think about artists and especially independent artists, we don't think thriving. We think that's just striving and starving artists even.
Yeah.
But back to your sparkle, you combat that. And I feel like you are thriving. You're traveling the world. You're working with everybody. And how does it feel to just thrive on your own with no like major backing, but doing it, being your own boss?
It's a blessing. And back to like the sparkle moment of it, I read this book called Purpose Awakening in 2014. At that point, I was on the road with Iggy Azalea, still working with Candy, still working with August Alsina, but trying to figure out my own voice, not just as a singer, but also as a person. And I read that book, I read Purpose Awakening, and it illuminated to me that my purpose is to shift the perspective of people who look and love like me. And so my sparkle comes from being authentic, literally, and knowing that like I am who God created me to be. Black, gay, male identifying, all of those things, I'm exactly who God created me to be. And so I don't have to, when something doesn't have a sparkle, it's because it's covered up. It's because it's debris. It's all of these things. But then when you like clean it off and you polish it up,
bling,
then it
bling.
sparkles. And so I do my best in my everyday life to silence the noise. Anything that would seek to tell me that who I am is wrong, or not divine.
Or not respectable.
Or not respectable. You know what I mean? I let that go. And that is how I'm able to maintain the sparkle that you speak of. Mary said it's the God in me. But I know that God created a Black queer man to exist in these spaces. And so I sparkle in all of those spaces because I know I'm doing what I was put on this earth to do.
Yeah. And a part of your mission and your doing and your sparkle is the things you put on your body and apparel. I know you are a big shopper of Black and even Black gay designers. Like everything, you got the Brandon Blackwoods, you got the Poslimos.
Yes, I do. Yes, all of these things.
And you don't ask for those things. You don't ask to pull those things. You buy those things. And a lot of times, designers won't even know until you pop up with it on. And it feels so good to have someone breathe life into to make the vision of that thing you designed come to life. And you do that. How does that feel to support so deeply these designers?
Yeah, I love fashion. Like, I only went to college for 3 months, but my minor was fashion while I was there. I've always loved fashion. I used to sketch growing up. I had an interview at the Fashion Institute of Technology when I was 13.
Oh, wow.
My grandland, she worked in admissions there. So, like, I was always surrounded by fashion. And the older I got, the more I realized how much fashion helped me express myself. And so it's so beautiful to express myself using the creations of people like me.
Yeah, and you make it like a cohesive outfit. Because a lot of times we don't think, when we think about Black designers, we don't think about real fashion. Like, we don't call it real fashion. I hate to go that lane, but you make a look.
I love a look. I got my start in entertainment, like in the industry as a stylist. I was working at this boutique called Controversy Boutique off Auburn Avenue, and Jeremy would come in there and pull stuff. Icon Tips would come in there and pull stuff, and that's how like I really met them. And so fashion has always been a very important part, not only of my self-expression, but also of my career. Artists that I work with, I'm always like working with designers and stylists. When I was working with Iggy, Michael Knight made a piece for her for her first showcase. And so like I've always been adamant about giving voice to Black designers and supporting them. In our house, there are lots of Carterwear draws around.
Now you said our house.
Our house.
So not only is your career thriving, your love life is thriving.
Yes, it is.
How does it feel to be an artist who openly sings about Black queer love or Black queer life and be in love?
Hey, Deshaun.
Hey, Deshaun.
No, it's beautiful, but it's also divine as well because in my relationship particularly, I've always been purpose-oriented within myself. And that book that I spoke of really made that shift for me. But Deshaun, in his work, he's always been purpose-oriented. And so we've had this opportunity to come together and use our platform to expound the conversation about art and activism within the Black queer community. And we take it very seriously. We don't consider ourselves to be like influencers or anything.
You definitely are. It's always great to see pictures of, and it's great because you're in, I want to say, different worlds. And it melds so well, and it just feels good to see.
Yeah, I mean, and it feels good to be
in. You blushing. You blushing.
I'm 36. I've been in a lot of relationships. My first boyfriend was when I was 16. So you're talking 20 years of relationships and of like trying to figure it out on my own as the oldest son of a pastor.
All these preacher's kids.
You know, the little child. But you know, that's why God is incredible, because God places us in these family dynamics to expand the definition of love.
Oh, wow. That's
and deep. Once I realized that was my duty within my family dynamic, it opened me up to find love that matched that depth. It matched the depth of my family and how I love them. It matches the depth of my purpose and how committed I am to it. I'm a nigga and I done did some nigga shit in my life. But
we've all done a little nigga shit.
Cheers to nigga shit.
Cheers to nigga shit.
But the relationship that I am in now fortifies me and propels me in a way that I've never experienced before. So it is beautiful to thrive personally and professionally.
Did you ever think you were going to find a love like that?
No, I didn't.
And when was the point where you were just like, I just give up?
October 2019.
And then when did you meet?
We October 2019 was when I was like, I give
Why?
up. A terrible breakup. And not terrible because it was dramatic, but terrible because I found myself yet again in a situation where I committed to something that wasn't what I wanted for the sake of being in a relationship. And what were you gonna say?
Oh no, keep going.
No. But I moved back in with my parents during the pandemic, like during quarantine. And so this was after that breakup. And my mom was like, why you always feel like you gotta like be with somebody? And I was like, well, because I watched you and my dad be together. Like you and my dad. And then like all of their friends were married. And if any of their friends weren't married, they wanted to be married. And so I was like, oh, I gotta be with somebody. Yeah. And then also feeling like if I was in a long-term relationship, a long-term like queer relationship, then it would validate my queerness.
That is, I think, how a lot of us feel. You dropping jewels on us.
And my mom was like, oh no, you don't have to do that. And I was like, this is the first time that I've ever been told by my parents that I didn't have to do that.
Oh, wow.
And not that my parents told me that I had to be in a relationship, but no one had actively told me that I didn't have to be. And so I committed that time during quarantine to just be single. And
it manifested.
And it manifested, literally in a tweet. We had known each other and kind of orbited around each other and had like mutual friends. But in May 2020, he posted, imagine being Black and mourning the deaths of Black people being murdered by police, being queer, and mourning the lives of Black trans women being murdered senselessly. And now imagine being both and having to show up to work every day with a smile on your face.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
And I reposted that because it was exactly how I felt in the moment. And that repost started a conversation that eventually started
some sliding.
Some sliding, and then some just real conversations about what we both wanted. Because he had given up on love as well.
Oh,
and we were both at this place where it was like, oh, we could be homies. Like, we could be homies. Yeah. But there was more. There was more in the stars for us, and I'm grateful for it.
I'm glad that you found that. I don't want to take up all your time, but I do want to definitely let people know where they can stream this new, well, not a new EP, it's like a year now.
It's a year. We just celebrated a year.
It's a bop. I definitely, like, every song is, you can get in your car and you can drive and you can just listen. How can we access that? How can we access you?
You can follow me everywhere, Mr. Glam Rock Soul. That's on all social media platforms. And then my EP, Man Meets Magic, is available on all streaming platforms.
All right, you go listen to He Belongs to the City.
Go listen to He Belongs to the City. It's a bop. And just listen to the whole thing. And then there are like 4 music videos as well for people to check out. But yeah, I appreciate you. And I appreciate what you do for the culture and how you create space for Black artists like me, Black queer artists like me, to be seen and to be heard and to be appreciated.
I appreciate that. Well, we'll be working with Trappy and Deviant, I'm sure.
Yes.
So thanks for having this conversation with me.
Yes.
And for many more. Thank you.
To many more.
Hey, now let's drink this one.
Yes.
Like I've said before, just being regular and being able to move within being regular. Normalcy and everydayness is something that Black queer people don't get to think about because we have to craft our character every day. Every time you walk out of your house, sometimes from the moment you wake up and you have your first conscious thought, you have to craft who you're going to be to protect yourself. And you don't get to really move in alignment, like you said. And I want that for us. I want the regular, everyday Black gay boy to not have to think about who he is, how he shows up in this world, and just follow his dream and idea and passion.
Yeah, be able to be. Another wise person talked about that, being, the authenticity of just being able to exist, and that we don't have that luxury. But yeah, I agree. Mr. Derek Ford, thank you for joining us on this episode of Thriving. You are the curator and creator of Carterwear. Can you tell us a bit about this amazing product that you have?
Sure, sure. So this is one of our thick band jock straps. It is a part of our latest release for the winter release. And essentially, we like to kind of play on the non-traditional types of underwear. So this is one of those items. It's our color called Icy, and it's very bold blue. That was a part of the winter collection. So pretty exciting product. Very happy to release it and offer it to the supporters.
That's so awesome. So this is actually a jock strap, right?
It is.
Gotta show the backside of that. That's amazing.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I know so many of our deviants, our viewers, are into Carter wear, myself included. I've got both a jockstrap and a thong from Carter wear at home. And yeah, there's such amazing precision to detail that you take in all of your products.
Yes.
First off, thank you for doing that, because it feels good to be able to buy things that are made for us that have such attention to detail. Everything from the packaging to the product. Where do you learn? Where does this all come from?
So it all comes from my background, honestly. Not many people may know, but my grandmother was a seamstress. And so at the age of 7, I've kind of always saw her making garments, and it's something that's always stuck with me. It's something that I perfected later in my adult life, but it all contributes to this final product, just simply because it takes a lot of measurements and a lot of precise cutting, and even the selection of materials to get to this final product. Her being an entrepreneur and also just her perfecting her craft all contributed to Carter wear and our final product. So
That is amazing. So you come from a family of entrepreneurs.
I do.
Awesome, awesome. I know also that you make your product so specifically catered to Black queer folks. I know, at least as a Black queer man, that I look at the way that you set up your models and I feel represented. I see people that look like me and come from my experience. Is that done with intention?
So, yes, it's very intentional. When I started the brand, I wanted to make sure that I was able to not only represent Black males, but also Black gay males. So with our marketing strategies, typically when I develop them, I keep that in mind. Whether it's from the colors that I decide for the collection or just the models themselves. I do like to show that we come in different shapes and sizes and also shade ranges. We have the nude collection, which was one of our most popular collections, and that was intended to show that we do come in different skin tones.
Awesome. And you have some stuff from your new collection today.
I do. So I have 2 products from the first nude collection that launched in February of 2021. So this is the color Mocha, and it is a deep brown skin tone, which was one of our most popular shades from the nude collection. And this is our color Latte. Latte is a true tan color, but it has a peach undertone. So we have a special dyeing process, thanks to my grandmother, that allowed us to kind of find these types of colors. So I'm very proud of this moment. This is a huge moment for the company, and it really propelled us to a place that I wasn't expecting. This was literally a idea that I thought was insane in my mind, but seeing it and seeing that it was very kind of accepted really meant a lot.
And why do you think nude resonated so much with us as a Black community?
Because I think in the Black community, we're obsessed with being nude. People in general. And just the idea and the illusion of playing to being nude, but you're truly not, is what's so fascinating about the nude collection. It's what drew people to the company. Because we repost a lot of our customers' content, and if you look quickly, you might mistake someone as being nude, and they could be fully just wearing the nude collection. So that whole idea was really what people kind of gravitated to.
Yeah. Again, thinking about the quality of the product and how it represents so many folks, I know that also you've been very intentional about the inclusivity of bodies, different shapes and bodies. Where does that come from? Where does that inspiration come from? And where is that going?
So that inspiration came from Instagram, believe it or not. When I first started the company, I typically was doing my marketing in my apartment in front of a mirror. And the fact that like people was able to draw kind of inspiration and confidence from that led me into wanting to display more body types. And that's the reason why we offer such a wide size range. So you can get extra small all the way up to 4X. And that's something I'm super proud of because not many companies offer that. And it is the most exciting thing to me when I see the 3Xs and the 4Xs going out of the door, and then those customers feel really confident enough to post in it because it's not something you see every day. And I think people need to realize that like sexiness does not have a box. It doesn't fit in a box. It's all different types of versions of like sexiness and people's like perspective of like sexiness. So whether if you are an amputee or if you are a plus size person or if you are a fitness model, like all those different versions of sexiness, they matter and they should have a platform to be displayed and respected. So that's the reason why this collection, even the new collection, it means a lot to me.
Derek, based on your journey, right? What do we tell that other young Black queer kid who's aspiring to entrepreneurship? Should they take a chance on themselves?
They definitely should. Before anyone else believes in you, you have to believe in yourself. This journey started off with product development. I spent a year just developing the product, working on the measurements, learning about different fabrics, learning about different stretches. Product development is probably the most important part out of this entire journey, just simply because sometimes you only have one opportunity to wow somebody, and meaning that person will be the customer, you know? Sometimes a customer can judge your brand based off that one purchase. So you really have to make sure your product is up to standard with what you can afford to reduce and figure out who your target market is. Obviously, like you want to, and this goes into pricing, but obviously you want to provide the best quality product that the brand can afford. So you definitely want to make sure you develop that product before even forming your business, meaning applying for your business entity, whether it's a sole proprietorship or whether it is an LLC, or there's tons of different business entities that you can register with. Before you even do that, before you have to start paying taxes and all that good stuff, develop your product. Really take the time and perfect your craft. And of course, before you do, after you do that, you want to figure out what type of platform. How do you want to reach your customers? What type of messaging do you want to be conveyed to your customers? All that stuff is very important material that you need before you offer any products to anyone. I will say that I create a action plan as far as achieving anything. And I use the same plan for hardware. Make a list of all the things that you need done and put deadlines next to it and hold yourself accountable to that, because that all contributes to you launching your business successfully. It's very important. That's how I did it for hardware. That's what I would suggest to any other Black or queer person looking to start their business.
I think this is all very resourceful information. It's amazing. I feel like this is damn near business 101.
Yeah.
That a lot of people don't know. So yeah, very much appreciate it.
Definitely. And there's so much that goes into it. I will say that you have to start a business that is authentic to who you are. With this underwear line, I have been posting in front of a mirror in underwear years before Carterwear. Literally, me in my living room, just the reaction I got from it was very interesting. And I realized, okay, I literally made a foundation or a following based off of just me in this mirror and underwear. So as a business student, I'm like, okay, I see the opportunity, but I'm a little unsure. Entrepreneurship can be a little scary, but if you take the chance, you never know where it can take you. So that's something that I learned throughout this entire process. And I always share this, but I was working a traditional 9-to-5 job, came from corporate America, wound up being extremely unhappy, and then started this entrepreneurial journey. But my best advice is that you have to do your research and you have to just take the leap of faith. Before you do that, just develop your product, perfect your craft. Yes. So the company's Instagram is @CarterWear. You can purchase our products at www.carterwear.com. They can be purchased at Nordstrom.com or at our flagship location, which is in King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. And have a few more other retailers that we're signing on with that I will announce with.
All right. Well, on that note, I can't wait to hear the in-depth conversations about thriving from people in our community.
Yeah, same. Deviants, we can't wait to hear from you too. If there are other thriving entrepreneurs, businesses, spaces, curators that we should know about, let us know in our survey. You can find that at deviant.live/play. You can also watch this and many more episodes of Deviant TV. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Peace out.